Welcome everyone to the presentation with Leticia Citizen. Leticia, take it on.
All right, thank you so much. So Sophia has so graciously placed the link to the bit.ly to our Wakelet that we're going to use today. I'm going to make this as interactive as possible. So if you would go ahead and click on that link, it's going to actually bring you to a Wakelet. And I'm going to use this to present. You'll notice as I'm sharing on my screen, I've set up this presentation in a linear fashion. So you can scroll up to move as we go through throughout this presentation. So we're here to talk about how to use Wakelet to make creative splashes so that way you're writing that Wakelet wave. And so I have two things that I want you to do in this moment as you are joining this Wakelet. The first thing is there's a Google form that's here. You could go ahead and click where it says welcome. So it is hyperlinked. It's going to bring you to a form. If you would go ahead and fill that out, I'd greatly appreciate it. And then secondly, in this space is an actual Wakelet where I'm going to have you check in. So I'll give you a minute, and I'll show you how I'll walk you through that process just in case you're not familiar, if this is your first time using it or not. And so again, there's a Google form that's here on this Wakelet as you scroll to the first part. So you start off here. Let's go to the form. And then the second part is this Wakelet check-in. So once you click that Wakelet check-in, for you, actually, because I'm the administrator for this Wakelet, when you click on it, it's going to bring you to a space and it says like type your name, and it has like an anonymous animal, right? Go ahead and type your name and click join. It's not in the Google form. Oh, I need to update that. Let's see. Go ahead and mark the bottom one where it says Wakelet, one place to put it all. Thank you for that, Carrie. Note to self. I need to update my form. Thank you for that. So when you come to the Wakelet to check in, and this will be like, if this is your first time using Wakelet, this will be your first interaction to contribute. So I've added you all as contributors. You'll type in your name, and I think it says click join or add or done, one of those words, and it's going to bring you to this space. And so I love knowing who's in this space and what's filling your bucket and what's draining your bucket. And so to do so, I've also included the directions on how to add on this space without having an account. And this is great for students. I will say that Wakelet, until most recently, only 13 and up was allowed to have an account. And then for our littles, this was a great way for them to also contribute on a Wakelet as a contributor. But Wakelet is actually working on opening up this space so that way teachers can connect it. I know at this time it's going to be Google Classroom. I don't know what other forms of LMS they'll allow for you to bring your classrooms over, but they're really working on a way to go ahead and with your Google Classrooms, bring your classes over. That way they'll have an account automatically, and then you can monitor it on the teacher end. There's this whole thing that they're working on. So it's in beta testing phases, but it's coming out really soon. But in the meantime, students can contribute as a contributor. So I just said that twice in the same sentence, but in this space, you'll go ahead and click on the edit. And then once you're here, you'll use the plus sign to go ahead and click. It gives you a couple of options. You want to choose the one to add text. And you'll notice that a text box will open up. And so you could go ahead, again, tell us who's in the space, what's filling your bucket, what's draining your bucket. Welcome to those of you that are just now joining. The link to join the presentation is in the chat. And then once you're finished filling that out, then you click done. And on my end, as the creator of this space, it tells me to update, so that way I can just see who's filling it out. Again, this is a great way to allow our students to collaborate in a safe space. They don't need accounts. Also, if this is your first time, if you are a coach like myself, so let me introduce myself. My name is Leticia Citizen. I am an I4 coach at Hawthorne School in Beverly Hills Unified School District. This is my 3rd year as a coach, but this is my 21st year as an educator. So I've taught kindergarten for 2 years, 1st grade for 7, and 5th grade for 9. And what I was going to say is, like, if you're someone like me who is a coach, or maybe you're in another position where you work directly with teachers, and you want them to experience Wakelet without having to commit to an account their first go around, this is a great way to do it. And you would do so by giving participants the contributor link. And that way they can still do most of the things that you can do with an account. So as a contributor, you can add a link, or you can add a text box like you're doing right now. You can make a Flipgrid short video. Let's see, you can add an image, and you can add a PDF. So you still get many of the capabilities that someone who has an account can do. But again, this is just a great way to allow people to experience it. Do so with your littles or with your classes if you don't want them to have another account to have access to, but still give them a space where they can collaborate and share a variety of information. So thank you. Snow and rain. Ooh, Kara. So you're in Minnesota. Well, I would love to send the sun that we have here in California right now. That's something that we've been missing a lot lately, is the rain. So maybe we could swap at some point. So thank you all for sharing. And I wanted to show you what that looks like. Okay, so because I am the creator of this space, you'll notice that in the top left-hand corner of my screen, I have the invite button. Okay, so after I've created my Wakelet, and again, if I just want to share this space and have others contribute to it, then again, when I'm done, setting it all up, I'm going to click on invite, and I'm going to copy this link. You can also, there's a code, so like someone who is new to Wakelet, also there's a space where you can enter the code instead. Or if you're using phones or iPads, something that can scan this QR code, they can do that as well. That will then give them access to this space. Okay. The other option too is that you can add people by searching for their usernames that they have on Wakelet. If you are, let's say, you're working with your grade level, and you each have your your own Wakelet account, but you all want to work together on one Wakelet to curate, I don't know, resources for an upcoming theme or an upcoming lesson that you have, then you could add everyone from your team by adding their email or adding their username that they have on Wakelet. And then you also have the option here, I don't know if you notice, again, if you're looking at my screen, I could either change someone from just being a contributor, or I can make them an administrator, which gives them, a couple of more perks on being an administrator that they wouldn't have as a contributor. Now, contributor does exactly what it says. A contributor can only add information. That's it. As an administrator, you can actually delete and take away, as well as add. They can change what's going on in that Wakelet. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that contributor is only what it says. They can add information. Whereas if you add someone as an administrator, they can do a bit more. All right. Any questions so far?
I'm not seeing any. I did put a little question in the chat to see what level everyone focuses on in their work in education or performance development. Yeah, and if you're willing to share, that'd be helpful and insightful.
Yep. Thank you for that. All right, so we're going to come back to the main Wakelet, higher ed. We've got some K-12. All right, and so I've already introduced myself. I've also included my virtual business card that links to my Twitter account, and my LinkedIn, and my email. So you can definitely check that out. Is going further that you want to reach out and connect and like work on something together, or I can answer additional questions after this is done. You can always reach out to me through this Wakelet by using my virtual card. So I wanted to check in to get your exposure and see what have you used. So besides, if this was like your first time using it just now, then you can go ahead and put that. But if you are familiar or have used Wakelet in some other ways, go ahead and click on that Padlet. And if you're not familiar with Padlet, you'll notice the first column says experience with Wakelet. You would go ahead and click that plus sign and then add. Nice. Let me see, Kara, when you click the invite link and share it with some the option in the green to create a collection. No, so Carrie, it should be there where they can do a sub collection. Let me make sure that they didn't take that away. That's a good question. I'm gonna open up in another in one of my other Google accounts. Just thank you for bringing that up. And now that you're saying that, I'm wondering if they're changing that because they're going to switch to student accounts. Hold on. That's a good question that you're asking. In the meantime, while I'm figuring that out, go ahead and just share your experience with Wakelet. And I'm going to check out what Carrie brought to my attention. Because you're right, they did have the option to create a sub collection. Nope. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to bring in. All right, so here is, I've used another one of my Google accounts to join that workspace I gave you earlier. And so, Carrie, I believe this is what you're talking about. When I, as a contributor, click on the plus sign, there is the option that says create collection. No, Tanya, at this moment, you do not need to sign up. You do not need to sign up at this moment to participate. Absolutely not. A lot of the spaces that I've created for you will be, you can join as a contributor. So you don't need an account at this time. So Carrie, I don't, maybe, I don't know if it like was hidden in another part. Yeah, but it's right here. And so when you click that, then you can create, I can show you. So you would like add your own little cover and it'll be your own mini collection that you have in the teacher's collection. And we can definitely take a look at that later. So I'm gonna move that out of the space. No, don't apologize. Please don't apologize at all. That was good to know. I was worried for a minute there because I know, like I said, they're coming out with some changes where, again, teachers are going to be able to use their Google Classroom to connect to and give students or allow students to have their own accounts. And then there's a couple of other things that they've had us testing out as Wakelet ambassadors. So I know that stuff is coming, and I know that they always like change things as well. So please do not apologize for that. All right, so we've got, on Twitter, but haven't created some of your own. I heard a Wakelet this morning. Ooh, yes. You're gonna find that I think you're gonna find some ways to use it in higher ed. Absolutely. I love happy faces. Not used there. Right. All right. So thank you for sharing that. We'll come back to this Padlet a little bit later. So if you'll come back to your Wakelet, thank you for sharing your exposure to it. So I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you a couple of things that how I've used Wakelet. We'll like pause. I'll give you some time to like, choose one and try it on your own. And then we'll come back and we'll look at some more. So I'll like do a bounce back and forth where I will show you some and then give you some time to kind of create your own if you want, just to play around with it. But here's this first one that definitely was a game changer for me. And it is using Wakelets Extension. Okay, and I've also included two GIFs or GIFs, however you want to pronounce them, that Brad Dell created to show how you can use this Wakelet extension. So if you are looking at my shared screen, you'll notice up here at the top in my extension bar, you'll see this blue W. Now what happens is because I'm on this link, let's say, here I'll do, maybe I went to the Gilder Lerman to go do some searching and I'm like looking through their collection and I like this one. Let's see. I want to use this primary source for something. Maybe I'm like curating all these resources that I'm going to use in my classroom. So I'm on this page and what I'll do is I'll come up to my extensions. I'll click the blue W. And what you'll notice is that it actually brings like my Wakelet collections right here for me to just access. So all I can do now is if I want to save this link, right, you'll notice typically on the left-hand side, there'll be like a tiny image that it will pick up. In this case, it didn't. It automatically like generates a title and some information. You can change that at your leisure if you wanted to. Yeah, a lot of people say it like gives a feel of like Facebook and Pinterest. And that's originally like when I first got introduced to Wakelet, I will say that when I first saw it, I was like, this is like Pinterest. And then I stepped away from it. I honestly did. And it wasn't until a year later I came back to it. And that was because like someone showed me something else that they did. And I was like, yo, I could so use this. And then I started coming up with different ways. So don't give up yet. Just like, let's go through this and see. So with this extension, I'm on this link and let's say that I've curated a space that I want to save this link on a certain collection. So all I have to do is click save and it's automatically going to put that link there. Or I could go ahead and create a whole new collection. So let's say, I don't know if you're like me, where sometimes you go online and you fall down that rabbit hole of looking for something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could so save this. Then I would just go ahead and create a new collection, give it a title, and then save that link, right? So that's one way that, if I'm on this link right now, I can just come up here to the blue W, click it, it brings all my collections to this new window, and I could go ahead and save it where I want to save it. The other cool thing about this Google or this Wakelet extension is if you are someone who's like me, and I purposely save this. So if you're like me sometimes and you're a person who just has tons of tabs up, and I was being good right here. This is like a cleaner version of it. But if you're someone who has like all these tabs, and whether it's because like they're all along the same topic, or like for me this morning, I was like, oh, I need to like close all these tabs, but I still need to save them because I want to access them later. Well, you can easily go to your bookmarks, right? and save them there. The nice thing about this Wakelet extension is I'm going to go ahead and right click it, and I'm going to click on options, and I can set it up so that way every time I open up a new tab, it will open up in Wakelet, and I'll show you why that's still cool. Because now that I've set it to say like, okay, when I make a new tab, what will happen is when I make that new tab, right, it opened up in my Wakelet space, but you'll notice on the right-hand side, all of these tabs match the tabs that I have up here that are open currently, in my space. So if I just wanted to quickly save all of these, I could come down to the bottom to the green button where it says create collection with tabs. Go ahead and click on that. And, I can go ahead and set up like a whole new collection, and I can just quickly, check. Let's see.
Redirecting you to. Please wait.
Check this out. And I don't need to do all the other stuff. I don't need to add a cover or anything like that. I just want them to save. Click done, and now it's going to save all of those tabs as a collection in my Wakelet. Right. So when I go to my home page, let's see, I'll do a refresh, and you'll see that that new collection is here. So that's number 2 of what I'm going to close it off because I don't want to keep it up. So that's another way that that Wakelet extension works. And then the third thing that's really huge about this, and this also works if you're on YouTube, you can save those YouTube links, right, for all those videos. But the other thing is if you are on social media, on Twitter, like I am, you'll notice that when I come to my Twitter account, when I'm looking at someone's tweet, you'll notice that there's a W now as one of my options. So, you can reply and retweet and like and download or share. But this last one is the W for the Wakelet. I could click on that, and again, it's going to open up this new window so that way I can save that tweet to one of my collections. Okay, so great ways right away just with the Wakelet extension. Remove this. And so all you would need to do is go to extension, or home.google.com, do a search for Wakelet. And because I've already downloaded mine, that you could go ahead and add that right away to your bookmarks. Any questions about that?
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
So when you add the extension to your browser, and I'm sorry if I just missed this, I might just need a repetition.
No
Does it
problem.
automatically add it to your Twitter? Or
Yes.
is that a separate? Oh,
Nope.
interesting.
Automatically, yep. So the minute that you add it to your browser, it will like go into your Twitter account.
Okay.
Really cool.
Leslie asks, so Wakelet is best used with the extension. I haven't even looked at the extension until right now.
I would say that for someone who is, if you're constantly, looking for things and searching for resources and having up all those tabs, definitely an easy way that it will like up your Wakelet game. So if that like is your workflow, that's what I do. Like I make a lot of Wakelet collections now instead of just having my folders in Drive. And especially if it's going to be something that I'm going to share with teachers, because I'm a coach, I curate a lot of resources for my teachers. So when I'm going through, having that Wakelet extension is so much easier, and it makes my life, it allows me to just function a lot faster in terms of like sending all these resources to that collection. So absolutely.
I have a few other questions that don't relate to the extension. Is now a good time, or do you want me to save those for later?
You could
Save them?
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier, Leslie, to use than Google Keep. I agree. I've used both. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So the first one is, what are the barriers that you've seen so far for students, barriers or frustrations? It doesn't seem like they need a login associated with a course or a certain 365 login. But is there anything else like bandwidth or compatibility that you've seen them encounter?
No, so we've been virtual. My school has been virtual since March. They just returned to school, I think 3 weeks ago. And so in that time, I've used it a lot. So part of not only supporting teacher, or what I do is not only support teachers, but I also teach digital citizenship. So I meet with every class every 2 weeks for 45 minutes, and I often use Wakelet with them. And the only thing I would say is like that first time, and I work with TK5, and so I've used it with 2nd through 5th. I would just say like that first time around, I just had my students do text boxes. And so walking them through that. So, you know, they like see all those icons there. I just, I was like, and I walked them through step by step of how to like add their name and then click on to add a text box. Just walking them through that process like helped a lot. And then later they were like, oh, can we try that website again? So then later I let them like click on other things and add other stuff. Like we just had a free for all kind of space. In terms of bandwidth, because there was no video on my end and I just kept the background very plain, that didn't stop them at all. Like none of my students in that time had experienced anything in terms of like bandwidth.
Okay, yeah. And that's just commonly as an e-learning technologist, something that I ask.
No.
And then I do have a few other questions, but I don't want to take all the time. So I'm not seeing others other than Leslie's that we've already answered about the extension. And I can save my other questions for later if we have time.
Okay. That's fine. Like stop me in between. So that's the first part is like, I always just like to start off with the extension. So now I'm going to go through and show you a couple of examples again of how I've used it. And again, to be honest, full transparency, the first time I heard of Wakelet, it took me a year before like I came back to it. And that was because I had finally seen it in a way that I felt that was very helpful for me. And then from that point on, I was able to be a lot more creative with it. And the other thing too is that they started to make some adjustments, which has been really nice. So they love listening to feedback. And they've got a couple of things that are coming out very, very soon. To add and enhance this tool. So the first thing is, again, I can say that we've all experienced living in this virtual space. I know for everyone, it's the length of it is different. For me, I'm still living in that virtual space. So I am at home working from home, but I know that some people have returned. And so wherever you are last summer, we were still virtual. And so I wanted to find ways to get my teachers stay connected with helping them to, grow professionally if they wanted to over the summer, just attend things at their leisure. So I did create a Wakelet, which you can go ahead and click on that and take a look. And so what I did for the summer is I just started curating different opportunities for teachers to take advantage of. Most of them were free. If there was any charge, I gave them a heads up, and usually they could reach out to school and see if that was something that was doable. But otherwise, you'll see that in this Wakelet space, I put Wakelets inside of a Wakelet just to help me manage more, also to not overwhelm my teachers as well. So I broke them down by months. So you'll see I have one here for June, in July, and then August. And then I started to create one where as I was attending PDs, that if I received a recording and I was given permission to share that, then I also created a Wakelet space for teachers to access those recordings. So when you click on it, and I do want to point out, because so far you've seen two different types of Wakelet views, okay? Wakelet does allow you to set up 4 different views, okay? Meaning this first one, I have it set up so that way it's linear, which is similar to how I've been presenting. When you were contributing in that space of checking in, and also you'll notice on this PD space, it's set up in what's called, I know a lot of people call it the Pinterest view. They actually named it the mood view. Okay, so this is the second viewing that you could like see a Wakelet in, which is the mood. And so what it kind of does is based off of the information, then the size is kind of different. And I always tell people, you can decide which view is best for the need of what you're using that Wakelet for. So in this case, because I was just giving them like variety and different options that they could access, that's why I set it up in a mood view. And plus, you know, I knew that I was going to keep updating this throughout the entire summer. So I didn't want my teachers to have to like scroll through so much in a linear fashion, as opposed to like mood gives them, you get more in your view if you set it up in a mood space, And then I can't remember what the other two. The other two layouts are, so media view is the one that's the linear, the way that I have the presentation set up. Then you have compact view, which is still in the linear, but it like makes it a little bit smaller, right? And what it does. And then you have grid view, which places it side by side. And you'll see, I have some examples of those different ones and when I use them and when I don't. So I just wanted to point that out. But again, here's a space that I created for my teachers. Go ahead and close all these. For my teachers to access PD opportunities, and then also if there were recordings. And then I also did create a reflection form. So that way, if teachers wanted to get credit from our district, or they just wanted our admin to know that they were doing some personalized learning, then they could just set up this Google form, and I gave her access to it, and then she could see what teachers were doing. And I also placed that form in each of the Wakelets as well. So I saw some questions that were coming in. Okay, so back to the issue where I can't see the create collection option in the Wakelet you shared with us. I'm signing a Wakelet with my own account. Yes, so Carrie, when without signing back in, when not, I can see. Yes, so that is correct. So the create collection option that's visible is only visible for those who don't have an account. You are absolutely correct. So if you are signed into your own account, then you don't have that option to create your own Wakelet. However, there is a place where that can happen. And we'll look at that, but that's when you have spaces. When you're using spaces, then each person that has an account can create their own collection. But when you're just a contributor in a space, you don't have that option to do like your own create collection. And then your teachers save the Wakelet as a bookmark. How did you email the link? How do you make sure they access this later? Not organize their lives. Leslie, yes, welcome to my world. So what I do is I do recommend to teachers that they bookmark it, but what I did for my teachers was I create a Google Classroom where all my teachers were added as students, and that's where I post all of the resources that I'm sharing on a Wakelet. So if you have an LMS, maybe I know like when we had Schoology at 1.2, I did the same thing. In Schoology, I created a class where all my teachers were added as students. And then that's where I would go and house like the Wakelets and any other information that I was sharing with them. Otherwise, yeah, like there are times that even when a teacher will reach out and say like, hey, so remember when you shared with us that curated, resource for Black History Month? And I would respond and say, here's the link to that Wakelet. And you can also find it on our Google Classroom under such and such topic. So I kind of do both, but your pain is my pain. I feel you.
Yeah, if I could jump in here, I don't
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
K-12 is the only level of education that struggles with this. I have found with faculty and instructors in higher ed, it's also really helpful just to create a motivational factor for them to get familiar with the space and find why it's beneficial to them. So if you have some sort of training points program or rewards program for them accessing the space, reading something, replying, that kind of thing that Leticia is hinting at, if you write a reflection, maybe you get credit from the school for your professional development. That's a great way to integrate that motivation to keep track of things. I mean, it sort of sucks that we have to think about that, but
we do.
we think about everything they have to do as teachers. This is like not high priority, right? So
right. The other suggestion I would have too is that you could have, and I haven't personally done it, but I know of other coaches who've done this, where you can have a Wakelet account that you can set it up, and that's one of the options that I talk about. But you can set up your Wakelet as a website. So if, again, for those of you who are new to Wakelet, I'll go to my account. Or even if this is like your early user and you're still learning how to use it, you'll notice that when I click on my icon, it takes me to what's like my profile page. And so on this profile page, you can add information about yourself. You can link your social media links that are access points there. The other thing is that you can make your collections public. So that's another cool thing with Wakelets. I'll come back and forth to show you what that looks like. So on your Wakelets, you'll notice that you have 3 options for visibility. You can keep it private, so that way you can only see it. Others could see it. If you share that link, then it will become unlisted. And even with the private ones, if you share that link, they can still like see it. They can still like look at it, right? Unlisted means that, it's not public anywhere for them to find it. But again, if you share that link, then people can access your Wakelet and see it. And then the last one is you can make it public. Now, once you make it public, then that means when someone goes to your Wakelet profile, then all those that you make public will now be visible for them to access and look at. What's cool is that you can also set up topics, so that way you can organize them. So for me, my type A lifestyle, I love Wakelet because it allows me to organize it in that way. So you'll notice that on this left-hand side are my sections, and you'll notice at the bottom, it's always green, that I can add a new section. And once I add a section, then I can move my public Wakelets into that section. So let's say I wanted to move, you'll notice that if I hover over it, I can drag and drop, or I can go ahead and click here and select if there's another section that I want to place my public Wakelet into. I say this to say that, like, if you are someone who works with teachers and they need help in the organization department, then you can set up a Wakelet account to use as like a website, create these Wakelets collections for them to access, make them public, and then your teachers, all they have to do, it becomes like a one-stop shop, right? That then they could just come to that Wakelet space and then they can access all those public Wakelet collections. The thing with that too is that anyone who follows you then will also see those new collections. The other thing too is that anyone who follows you, anytime you create a new public collection, then they will get a notification like, oh, Leticia created a new collection, check it out. And then they can come and look at your collection as well. So that's another way to help with the organization. I know I see some more coming in. Using calendar invites in our emails doesn't seem to work for some. Yeah, I know. No, Carrie, you are not going nuts. I I'm telling you, yes, we could talk about that. We could have a whole session on that, right? Share the resource base. That's the organizing Google Classroom. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I'm not like missing. Oh my gosh. 12. Okay. Yes. All right. Okay. I didn't even realize that. Oh my gosh, it's going so fast. Okay, so
No worries.
so again, using it for virtual summer PD, you could do this through the school year. I have a teacher or a coach friend who works in Texas that she does tech PD bites that are like 10 minutes. And she actually uses the Flipgrid short option to like make these mini videos for teachers to get PD. So that's a way that you can do it. Another example that I have here are newsletters. So again, because I work with teachers, I create weekly newsletters for them. But if you are in the classroom, you can create this for students. You can even have students, contributing and managing that weekly newsletter. If you want to create one for parents, that's an awesome way as well. But what I do is I try to keep it short and sweet in that I focus on three things for the newsletter. So I try to include like a classroom activity, and you'll notice like so these images I actually created in Buncee, but you could, if you use Canva, Adobe Spark, whatever that you use, they're great. I just like to use those to spark it up. But I try to include like, some text. I've got some links there. You can bring in images. I always try to connect something to one of our EdTech platforms that we have in our district, giving, either I've created a lesson or I'll give them like, hey, check out this on this website. And then I always try to include an outside PD opportunity, right? I'm just going to be honest, in my 21 years of teaching, like the best PD I've always had was not in my district. So I always try to include those opportunities, and then I always have a space where teachers can go ahead and collaborate with me and access my my calendar. Now, here is one thing that I just want to point out that I feel like is another game changer, that if you are creating newsletters for your parents and they speak different languages, right? You can still create your newsletter in English, but what then you can help parents understand is that you'll notice on the left-hand side of this Wakelet, you see a little book with a microphone, right? A little speaker. So you'll see that in all the spaces where there's text. And so if you click on that, that's Immersive Reader. What it will do is take that text in that space, in that small space. And you'll notice if you're not familiar with Immersive Reader, there's a play button at the bottom. It will actually
Attendant
read
amp. Present at hashtag.
the information to the reader. And as the reader, they can control the voice speed, and there's 2 options for voice selection. Now, here's where it comes in handy if your parent speaks a different language, is that on the upper right-hand corner, there are 3 icons. Yes, I'm with you, Joni. I love this feature for Wakelet as well. Is that if you click that book, you'll see that it says choose a language. Parents, like I said, if they speak a language other than English, then they have the option to select another language. So let's say we'll check Chinese, click Chinese, and then right here it says document. They have to make sure that they click this. And what you'll notice is that it changes the text to that language. And then
参加和出席2019年井号 SG.
They can also, it will also read it to them. I will say that not every language has the ability to be read, or it won't like read it for them. It won't translate it for them. It will translate the language. So I know that they're working on getting all the languages to be able to play and you can hear it, but it doesn't work in that it changes the language. Do you have to change that every time? Or will it remember? From my understanding, Leslie, you have to do it every time. And then there's some other options too, like if you're working with your littles, right? And they're still acquiring their reading abilities, then, you know, you can work on grammar. Let me change it back to English. I think it won't recognize it. Okay, so, and then the other thing too, right? So if you have sensibility when it comes to your site, you can change it so that way it will focus on one line or 3 lines at a time. There's a picture dictionary that sometimes will find the words. Again, you can focus on grammar and it will change those colors. It will do syllables as well. And the other thing is, like, you can change the colors. Again, if your eyes are sensitive to certain color combinations, you have that option to control it. There are 3 different font types, and you can also do increasing with text as well. So definitely, I would say another game changer, that if you are creating newsletters, that's one way that you can still stay in communication with your parents if you want to create them in this space as well. Let's see. Yes, for littles and ELs, absolutely. All right, so, and so you can check out those examples there that I've created. Another way that I love to use Wakelet is from my conference notes. Now, here's why I started using Wakelet instead of like continue, because you know you can create a doc, right? And I have like tons of docs where I've taken notes, and even if you want to collaborate with others, blah, 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 you can do this with Wakelet. But here was like the thing that did me in with Wakelet. Okay, so here's one from when I went to FETC. I don't remember anymore. I lose track of time with this pandemic. I think like 3 years ago. But not only can I like type up my text. Come on, don't give up on me now. Be nice. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. Is that not only can I, you know, add my text as I'm taking my notes, and I can hyperlink to websites that they're sharing, but here is where you want to use the Wakelet app as well as when you're taking your notes. So I have the Wakelet app on my phone, right? And let's say, yeah, I wanted that picture that the presenter shared. I will take that picture with my phone, and then where on my image where I go to share, I can select Wakelet, and then it lets me choose, again, just like it does on the computer, it brings up my collections. I can send it to that collection that I'm currently typing on, and it will appear in real time once I share it on my notes. And it always shares to the top. So all I have to do is, like, while I'm typing and I've shared it through my phone, then I go and I drag it from the top and put it to the space that I want to add it to. The other thing as well is, you know, if they're sharing videos that they want us to check out on YouTube, or maybe they've already got the video embedded in their presentation. Well, I can go find it on YouTube because that's an option on Wakelet. It will go to YouTube. I can type in here. I'm just like talking to you, and I should just go ahead and demonstrate it for you. Duh. So you'll notice that when I go to the plus sign, I not only can bring in a link, I can add text. I can bring in some bookmarks, PDF, but you'll notice where it says apps, I can go to YouTube and look for my video, right? So maybe I was looking for Michael Jordan, whatever that video that they shared with us. And so it'll do a search and it'll bring up all the videos, and I can find the one that I need, go ahead and click it, and then bring it here. This is another great workaround too for your littles. If you want them to watch YouTube videos, like certain ones, you can put them on Wakelet, and that way it will eliminate all those, like, what do you call them? The little advertisements and stuff that are there, and giving them access to things they don't need to see. So that's another sure way to use this. We are running out of time, aren't we?
Yeah, we're at time. I'm so sorry. I lost a track of time too, because I was like, I should create a Wakelet for this conference. Anyway.
Yes.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Leticia. If anyone has any follow-up questions or wants to connect with you, what's the best way?
I thought this was 75 minutes, no? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is. I am so sorry. My bad. I apologize. Please,
No,
everyone,
you
ignore
were
my
all
time.
good. I was like, wait a
warning.
minute. I think this is a long one.
I apologize. Every other one
Oh.
has been 50 minutes for me so far. Anyway, keep going, please.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, it's good because Carrie's like, no, keep going. Yes, we'll keep going. I need to step up my. Oh, yes. I'm glad that you're getting more ideas. I'm telling you, like, all it took was that one thing that catch me, and then I've just kind of taken off. So definitely use Wakelet for your conference notes. And I like shared some other ideas here, even like, again, because we've been virtual, right? There have been tons of like mini teacher institutes that I've attended. So here's one where it was like centering, what's it called? Now it seems like my internet is like, you need to get off the computer. I'm trying to make sure I have nothing up. Okay, good. So here's one where I attended centering all students in the classroom community. And so again, I was taking notes, and what's cool is because I was taking screenshots at the same time and I was uploading them to my Wakelet. So I have this open the whole time that I'm going through this PD. And just making sure that I get all necessary things, taking notes. And what's cool is then I can just share this Wakelet with my teachers, and I also shared it with my admin, so that way she had access to it. So definitely, again, I know you can use docs and use all the other things that you use, but there's just something about like being able to bring in all these links and these videos and taking screenshots and even it coupling with your phone and sending it that way, that just really changes it up. And then again, just sharing it with my teachers so that way they can have access to it. Let's see. You have gifts as some of your images. Can you share how you did that? Or was I busy poking around? Nope, I can show you. You said you created your visuals. Yes. So the tool that I use, I'll put it in the chat, is Buncee. Oh. I can't type on the chat. Hold on, let me see.
I can type it for you. What did you say it was?
Yeah, so it's Buncee, BUNCEE.com. Yeah, for some reason I can't. Okay. So it is one of those freemiums. Sorry. But it is one that I do. It's like, I think $10 a month if I wanted to have an account with students. And I forgot what it is if you just want to use it yourself. But what I do on Buncee, so I'll show you. What I do is on Buncee, you have the option to, they have animation as some of your options. So I will, let's see, I have my Wakelet ones. I have a Wakelet folder. Where are you? Where are you? Wakelet. There it is. So what's cool is that now Buncee and Buncee and Wakelet like have this partnership. So here, I'll just start from the beginning. So when I go to create my Buncee, it automatically is in the size. And so you have options to like access their templates. I always like to start from scratch. But the first thing I always do is go and resize my canvas because it automatically comes in the size of like a Google slide, right? But I go to resize it and you notice that they give you different options. But what's cool is that if you go to custom, and this is new, if you go to custom, you'll see it says Wakelet cover image and Wakelet profile header. So the ones that I use for my collections, it's a cover image. So I just type in that size, 1920 by 1440. Okay, so now it's like resize it for me. And so I can bring in backgrounds. I'm just gonna do this very quickly. So let's say I went through, I like this background, okay? And I wanna bring in some animation. You'll notice that these are all my options and what I can create, like bring into my Buncee creation, but I'm gonna click on animation. So if you hover over that option, then you press play, you can see how it animates, like what it does. So let's just go ahead and choose the bear. So I'm gonna add it. And so you can resize it, right? And so now I've got my animation. And I need to just title it. Now, Buncee doesn't, you can't save it as an animation. Like when I click on preview, yes, the animation, as long as it's in Buncee, it's animated. But you'll notice that when I click on share, if I wanted to download it, I can only download it as a PDF or in PNG. So this is where you have to like kind of hack it, okay? I've added the Chrome Capture. It's an extension. Let's see. I still can't type in the chat. I don't know if you want to put that in there, Sophia, but it's Chrome Capture. Okay. When I click on Chrome Capture, it tells me to click and drag the area, the selected area, right? So I'm going to go to the corner and down to here. And you'll notice at the bottom that I have the option of taking a picture or taking a video. And so I'm going to go ahead and click. Hold on. Of course, when I want to show you all how to do this, it's going to mess up. Let's try again. I'll just do it halfway for now. Okay. So I'm going to click on the video. It's like, no, you're not. Come on, be nice. Refresh. Don't make me a liar. It's just like messing up all around.
It might be because you're using your video capabilities for Zoom. Not really sure.
Oh, what you told me, huh?
But that could be it.
No way. Bummer. Okay, so I promise it works. You saw my animation, right? So what you would do is you would click on the camera, and in the bottom left-hand corner, you see where it says frames. It will tell you how many frames you're recording. I always try to keep it, like I try to look at the animation to see where I want it to like repeat, but I usually keep my frames anywhere between 10 and 15, right? And so when it works, which it's not, then it will so it will like capture that frame for you, those frames, and then a window will pop up to say, how do you want to save this? When you do that, then you can select GIF, or GIF, or you want to pronounce it. You can download it as a GIF. So then when you go to your Wakelet, I'll go ahead and open up a new one. I'll do this one. This is my saved tabs. When I come here to my Wakelet and I say add cover image, then even though it says upload an image, it will let you upload that GIF. So then you're gonna like bring in your image that you saved. Don't look at my messy computer, but like you would then upload that animation and it will save it there for you. So that's how, oh, me turning off my camera? Let me see. Let me try. You're a genius, Carrie. All right, so, oh my gosh. So here we go. So see how it's catching up my frames? So I'm gonna stop it. And you can, you get to see like, oh, is that what I really wanted? Sure. So you'll notice on the left-hand side are my tools. You just need to click on the save. And it's telling me and this is where it tells you, don't choose the web one. You just want it on GIF. You can rename it if you want to. Now, here's the other thing I do want to point out. Remember, you want to try to get it as close to the width and height of the Wakelet. And so write these down. That was, what did I say it was when I set it up over here? Sorry, that's my lunch alarm. for school. So you want to make sure that it's 1920 by 1440. Okay. Write those down and you can always find them. So what did I say? 19. How did I say it? And then I forget. 1920. So 1920. And it will kind of, like you keep it so that way it's locked aspect ratio. So it's fine if it's less than the 1400. And then go ahead and save it. So my saving is going really slow. There we go. And so once you save it, then you can upload it. I want to make sure that you all can see this happen. 15 minutes. Okay. Questions in the doc. Okay, I'm coming to those questions right now. So now when I go back to this Wakelet, right? Upload an image. I'm going to find the one that I just did. Please work. Come on, up here. There we go. And so just go ahead and click save. And it will save it in that space for you. There we go. And there's the animation. So again, that was Chrome Capture. And you want to make sure that you do it once you click on preview. So that you don't have all the other stuff. Do you know if Canva will do the same thing? I've not tried it, Carrie, but I don't see why not, because of the Chrome Capture, because that's like an extension tool, right? My guess would be if you are capturing any animation with that extension, then it should be able to do so. Yep. Okay, I know we said you're so welcome. Were there questions that I missed?
Yeah, we could take a look. So I think a few of them you may have answered indirectly, or I may have answered just browsing around, but I'll ask them anyway. So do you have a sense of what grade levels use Wakelet most?
I would say like a lot of like who are in my PLN, it's anywhere from 4th on up to high school.
Okay.
To be the range of like people that I talk to that I know that use it a lot. But because I know that this is being used worldwide, I know there's like every range. There was someone I just recently sat in on their presentation, and they were an admin, but they were planning for their family vacation. And so they had set up a whole space where they had family members share their recipes.
Oh, fun. See, yeah, I was thinking it's sort of it serves so many purposes. It could be like a Google site where you do a shared birthday card or something,
Yes.
like it doesn't have to be educational. And yes, that was where that question, it was my question. I was just curious. I was like, do you have a sense? You said 2nd to 3rd grade is like when you would introduce it, I think.
Yeah. So I've used it with 2nd through 5th.
Okay. And my sense for that is because it's sort of hard for them to type something in or read prior.
Well, no, because someone just said that someone uses it for like stations. I just have not done with kinder and 1st grade because they use iPads. And so the view is a little different, and I just haven't found the time, because I didn't introduce it to my students until January. So I haven't found the time to like set that aside to work with the kinder and first, and then students just returned to in-person a couple of weeks ago. So I've been waiting for the dust to settle, but my goal is to try it with them before the school year ends. But I know that Carrie said that she used someone uses it for station. That would be.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking, for contribution, like when we're collaborating, but yes, I think yeah, I could see just doing the centers through this, or even just doing a virtual sort of rotation of videos and activities and
Yep.
games. Yeah, that would totally work.
'Cause I've definitely told I told like the teachers who have the littles, like especially when it comes to like the videos for YouTube, that I've told them like, here's a way, because they're always saying like, well, I want them to go to a YouTube video that they've been trying to share with them, but I'm like, oh, put it on a Wakelet, and then it keeps them right there, and they can still watch it.
Yeah, they don't end up watching toy reviews
No.
during class. Okay, and then the other one is, and I think I saw this, but is there a library of collections that people can access and not only use for inspiration, but also translate into their own needs for their own courses and
Yes.
classes?
Absolutely. So at the bottom of the Wakelet that I shared with you, like past the ones that I've shared, I have a resource section. I'm trying to like get there as fast as I can. Okay, here we go. So here's the resources. So I've given you, or I've linked the Wakelet community, the Wakelet blog, where also students are now writing about their experience. There is also, if you work with, I believe 13 and up, they have a whole student ambassador program that students have like six different tasks, and they can get 6 different badges. So definitely take that out. There's a surf school where it's exactly what you said, where there are ambassadors like myself, where we're like sharing different collections that you can like take and use in your classrooms, or in the space that you work in. And then what's new, which has been game changer as well, is there's a template area. So there's a link there where, again, ambassadors like myself, and actually if you have a template and you like share it, then Wakelet will add it to this space where you can actually like click on this one where it has newsletters, and they give you several options, and it gives you directions on how to make a copy. So you would come up to the 3 dots and then copy that collection, and then you can use it for your own. So definitely check out the resources at the end. And then there's an official guide to Wakelet. There's a whole PDF there where there's other information. So check that out.
And then one last question so far. I don't think I see any others, although I'll keep scrolling. If we do miss your question and you're still here, please resubmit it. Someone asked earlier, can you share the name of the teacher that posts the 10-minute tech training tidbits so we can follow her on Wakelet?
Yes, Amy Stower. Let me bring her up. She's gonna love it. How do I? For you people. Where are you, Amy? Of course they would give me all of these. You know what? I think her handle is Tech Amy's. There she is. Yes, so her handle is Tech Amy's. Oh, where'd it go? She was like the first one.
Weird. I'll find her link and I can put it
That
in
was
the
really
chat.
weird. Yes, but it's Tech Amy's that you can follow her, and she has those. Stower, Storer. I don't know why I can't like type in the chat.
No, it's very odd. I don't know either. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
All right, I put her link to her Wakelet profile in the chat.
But definitely you can access this Wakelet presentation. I always keep it there for others to access. And so all those things are clickable. You can use all of that. I even added like a little playground if you want to play around with it first. If you are not, if you don't feel committed to like create your own accounts. But this is there for you to access. And this was awesome. So thank you for being here. I hope that you were able to take away at least one thing that you find helpful. Any other questions? You're welcome, Kara. You're welcome, Serena.
Well, since we have a few minutes, I can tell you that since this morning's presentation, I have been brought in full circle to looking into Wakelet as a tool to possibly integrate into our community college online courses where I am in Colorado. And part of what I'm seeing is the benefit. I just looked at the privacy policy. A lot of times a tool like this collects too much information. I like that saying nothing is actually free. And if it's free to you, then you're an asset of some sort. So it's feeling really attractive, and I would love to keep exploring it. And I hope that someday we'll all be in a room together to say, look what I did.
I know, I would love to see those.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I will say that I'm actually giving a presentation for them tomorrow. They host like weekly webinars, and so I'm doing one with another coach, a different coach in Texas, and we're doing it about like it's 4 coaches. But I met yesterday with one of the creators, James, and we were talking about how now you can, or soon everyone will be able to take their Google Classrooms, and all students can have an account, because again, it used to be 13 and up. So my first thing I asked him was like, hey, I've gone through, your privacy lingo, and I did it back in December because when I brought this to my teachers, I wanted to make sure, like you said, that they're not collecting a lot of information, and what happens if they are bought, and transferred with someone else, what happens with all that information. And so at the time, they had not signed the student privacy pledge, but I brought that up to James yesterday. And so I pointed out where I had looked and I couldn't find it. And so he said that they were going to work on that yesterday. So I was going to check back. We're going to check in today anyways to talk about tomorrow. But I know that's definitely, it was nice to hear that, like, I brought that concern to him, and then he listened. He was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we need to, because I made a whole, I had to do this for my ISTE certification where I was comparing Seesaw, Nearpod, and Wakelet, looking at their privacy policies. And so I had this whole chart that I created, and I was marking so I could show him. I was like, look, these guys have it. What are you guys going to do? Or what about when it comes to this? What's going to happen? So, because I told him, I said, I have a hard time saying yeah, let me go ahead and connect my Google Classrooms if I don't know what's going to happen with student information, even connecting that class, what information to collect from students. So
the whole data ethics thing has been pretty much forefront of my mind since I did the digital pedagogy lab last year through University of Colorado, and there was a data ethics sub track. And it just especially with younger students or students who don't speak English as their first language, or they're new to the country, it really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Well, we have about 2 minutes left.
I saw that Carrie had some questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, Carrie, you're welcome to unmute yourself. I turned that feature on for everyone if you want to just jump into the conversation.
Here's the, I can't put the type in the, so Carrie, if you can see my shared screen, the bit.ly for tomorrow's session, it's with Wakelet. It's not part of this conference, but it's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But the link is there for you to sign up. I can't type it in, so I'm really sorry.
I took a picture of it with my phone. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
You are so welcome. And thank you for your kind words. That is awesome.
Oh, you did a fantastic job. This Wakelet that you've shared with us is just phenomenal. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you find it useful. That is awesome.
I added the link to the session for tomorrow in the chat too.
Awesome. Thank you. yeah, I'll actually be presenting for this conference and doing that one too, like 2 different times. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
You are making strides.
That's
Well-
I feel like that's like one of the beautiful things about being virtual, is being
Mhm, you can
able
be
to reach
everywhere.
a wider audience, which has been really nice.
Well, with that, I think I'll stop the recording.
Yes.